One of Chancellor Wells' contemporaries, Father Theodore Hesburg, President Emeritus of Notre Dame, once said, and I quote, "It is easier to exemplify values than to teach them." And that is certainly true of the man whose devotion to this great university we celebrate today. Throughout his long love affair with Indiana University, Herman Wells has walked the paths of this beautiful woodland campus as a student, as a faculty member, as the university's president, and finally, its chancellor and long-term guiding light. In each role, he's lived the best values of Indiana University. When Herman came to IU in 1921 as an undergraduate business major, the student body was composed of youngsters just out of high school and veterans returning from World War I. The atmosphere was charged with the excitement of new ideas, fun, and comradeship. Herman found opportunities for learning about the responsibilities of leadership with the Sigma News. He found exhilarating talk at the Book Nook, now the Gables, which was the hub of student activity at the time. There, student political action was plotted, organizations were formed, and ideas and theories the students learned in their classrooms were tested and examined, often to the strains of Hoagy Carmichael's melodies, performed by the great songwriter himself. Herman came from a teaching family. Both of his parents had taken seriously the obligation to make the world a better place by imparting the knowledge they themselves had acquired. So his appointment as a faculty member in IU's School of Business was a natural progression of his love of learning and his interests in students. Teaching was always a thrill for him, one he missed when he took on administrative duties. His contacts with students always gave him a special way to feel the pulse of the university, and that remained true until his death last spring. When Herman became the nation's youngest college president in 1937, Time magazine reported that he had, quote, alarmed hidebound Hoosiers with his habit of dressing up in a coonskin coat and roaring around Bloomington in a big blue touring car with the top down. By the time he retired, 25 years later, he was known as the man who transformed this small Midwestern college into a research university of international renown. And he did so through the weight of his ambition for the university and through the strong Hoosier values of hard work, courage, kindness that he learned in his Boone County home. He lived by the tenet, it's not what you do that matters, it's what you can help others accomplish that makes a difference. He was a generous mentor to 5 presidents. As a counselor and friend, Chancellor Wells never disappointed me personally. What a resource he was. His knowledge of IU's history was unparalleled. His instincts about the right course of action were always razor sharp. But for all his accomplishments, IU's man of the century remained a humble person. He was living proof of the maximum that there is no end to what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. This boy from Jamestown, Indiana, who used to take his mother shopping in his pony cart, was a citizen of the world, hosting heads of state and representing the country at the 12th session of the United Nations General Assembly. President Wells had the courage to sponsor art and music programs at the height of the Great Depression. He had the vision to start an area studies program in Bloomington at a time when the country was plunged into an attitude of isolationism by the McCarthy hearings conducted in Washington. The values by which he lived are as relevant today as they were 75 years ago when young Herman B. Wells first set foot upon the campus and immediately fell in love with it. I think Herman would disagree with the French poet Paul Valéry, who said that the future isn't what it used to be. As we unveil this statue that symbolizes Herman Wells' immense energy, his devotion to learning, his love of life, we should remember that Herman Wells' vision of Indiana University and its possibilities is equal not only to the challenges that lie in our past, but also to those we will face in the coming decades. So today we dedicate not a memorial to a bygone golden age, but a symbol of the promise for the future. Generations of students, faculty, and yes, even presidents will lay claim to that promise. And they will do so inspired by the values Herman lived.